Hey everyone, I'm back to talk to you about season 4 of Big Mouth. For those who may not be familiar, Big Mouth's an animated show that comes on Netflix. I fuck with everybody who's really affiliated with this show. Nick Kroll is one of the creators of the show. I think there's like 4 creators. I'm not sure if they are all people who actually do voices on the show, but you got Nick Kroll, you got John Mulaney, who I recently became a fan of. Jordan Peele has a recurring character on the show that hasn't shown up too much in season 4. Maya Rudolph has a recurring character that shows. Actually, Maya Rudolph's probably a regular at this point. So really good cast of really funny people. It's a juvenile show. If you have like a weak stomach for incredibly vulgar humor, it's not going to be your speed. But give you a brief breakdown of what the show is about. It's essentially about young teenagers going through puberty. These kids are somewhere in the range of, we'll say, 7th, 8th grade, maybe even 9th grade. I don't know, but actually that might be a little bit too old. But because like I'm saying, they're going through puberty, so actually 7th grade might even be too old. I don't fucking know. But they have. I'm not even gonna go too far into that, trying to explain to you guys what all the kind of sick shit they do on this show. But if you have a strong stomach for excessively vulgar comedy, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll enjoy this show, but you won't be turned off by it. If you don't have a strong stomach for that sort of thing, the show will be incredibly off-putting. But it's not all that either. And when I say all that, I mean it's not all just vulgarity and like gross stuff from the mouths of babes, essentially. It's got smart humor as well. So it's a really funny show. It's one of my favorite animated comedies that currently is running. I was really looking forward to season 4. They introduced in the first 3 episodes, they had the kids were in summer camp, and they introduced a character voiced by Seth Rogen, and they introduced a character voiced by John Oliver. So that was pretty cool. They had a lot of really cool. They had like a recurring gag that I'm not really gonna explain because I don't want to spoil it. And honestly, you guys might not even find it as funny as I did, but because of the pet names that I have for my kids, the recurring gag in the first 3 episodes of the season was something that like I'm like crying laughing on the couch. And I watch Big Mouth late. Like I don't watch Big Mouth like in the middle of the day or something like that. I watch Big Mouth when I'm drunk. It's like Friday at like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, all right, now it's time to turn on Big Mouth so I can fully appreciate this. And the gag that they had going through the first 3 episodes that I said ties to the pet names that I have for my kids, I'm laughing so hard at this that I'm surprised I didn't wake my wife up. So I think by that point, probably the 3rd or 4th episode, I was like, this might be the best season ever of a show that I already enjoy. So like I said, phenomenal cast. You get great voice work because you got a lot of great comedians doing work on this show. I not only do I have a strong stomach for the high level of vulgarity, but I think they do it. I don't think it's vulgar for the sake of vulgar. I think they do find a way to take things that are extreme, but still give them enough substance to make them funny beyond just that very basic, oh man, a kid character said the F word. Like, because that's kind of how I felt South Park was prior to actually watching it. I felt like the appeal of South Park was seeing kids curse. And I'm like, that's not deep enough for me. But South Park is so much more than that. And that's kind of how I feel about Big Mouth. Big Mouth, it has that level of vulgarity and that shock value of like kids saying and doing things that you don't want or even you don't want to see or think about seeing kids saying and doing these sorts of things. So it has that shock value, but I think they do it so well. And then they integrate a whole lot of other forms of, like, it's still a smart show. Like, so there's other forms of comedy as well. So I think it's funny. I think it's fun. It's an easy watch. It's just one of those things where like you can't recommend it to everybody because you don't know who has the stomach for it. And it's one of those things where, like with South Park, for instance, Big Mouth makes South Park look like a Disney movie. And there's been some wild shit on South Park. Wild shit. And I still stand by what I just said. Big Mouth makes South Park look like a Disney movie. That's how over the top vulgar Big Mouth can be. So if you can stomach that, or if bless your heart, if that is your alley, like that's your speed as far as like how you like your comedy, Big Mouth will be the shit. But even if it's not, as long as you are okay with it and you're not turned off by it, Big Mouth will still provide you with humor that goes beyond just vulgarity for the sake of vulgarity. So I highly recommend it. They did a changing of the one of the voice actors. One of the she the only black character on the show? Not anymore, but she's the only black character that's been on the show consistently. So like a regular character on the show was actually voiced by a white woman. And in between seasons, they recast that and had a black woman voice this character. And to explain to you how good of a job this woman did taking over the voice of this character, I didn't realize that I forgot that it was a different person. I remember that happening in between seasons that character was recast. But so I knew that it happened, but I didn't remember going into the show. And they address it in one of the episodes, which is actually kind of surprising. They did it in a good way, but it wasn't until they addressed it that I remembered that they had recast that character. So again, big shout out to Big Mouth. I think you guys will love it if you can stomach the, volatile nature of the language and whatnot. But definitely check it out, and I'll be back. See you guys soon. Peace. Oh, wait, and like, comment, subscribe, and share. Now, peace.